Hey, you. You're finally awake.
The Nintendo Entertainment System is home to some of the most iconic and beloved games in history, but beyond those well-known classics lies a treasure trove of underrated titles that often go overlooked. These hidden gems didn't always receive the attention or acclaim they deserved at the time of their release, yet they offer unique gameplay, innovative mechanics, and memorable experiences that stand the test of time. Exploring these underrated NES games reveals a deeper, richer side of the system's library, showcasing creativity, challenge, and a charm that many players have yet to discover. So today I'm going to be talking about 7 more underrated games to the NES. As always, let me know what you think of this list, and if there's ones I need to cover, put them in the comments below. Before we get to our video, if you think I really deserve it, please hit that like and subscribe button, it really helps the channel grow. And we've also got a weekly podcast where this week we're covering Sonic Rush for the Nintendo DS. And we've also got a $1 a month Patreon where you can join the Smut Squad, get involved in the podcast, and get your own additional show. Right, let's get into it, shall we? 7 more underrated games for the NES. Kickmaster. Released in 1992 for the NES, Kickmaster is a side-scrolling action platformer developed by Kid and published by Taito. It's a strange but compelling blend of martial arts combat, fantasy magic, and RPG mechanics, wrapped in one of the most unique gameplay systems found on the NES. Though it never received the widespread recognition of other titles like Ninja Gaiden or Castlevania, Kickmaster has become a cult favourite, celebrated for its tight gameplay and ambitious design. The game follows Thonderland, a warrior monk and master of the martial arts, as he sets out to rescue his kidnapped sister from the evil sorceress. The story opens with the destruction of the kingdom of Lorel and the death of Thonderland's brother Makron, setting a surprisingly dark tone. While the plot is conveyed through brief text segments and cutscenes, it's effective enough to frame the hero's journey through ruined castles, haunted swamps, volcanic wastelands, and mystical towers. The fantasy atmosphere is thick, with skeletons, demons, and witches, and other supernatural threats constantly in your path. Where Kickmaster truly distinguishes itself is its combat system. Unlike most action games of the era, which focuses on swordplay and projectile weapons, this game revolves entirely around kicking. Thonderland uses an ever-expanding arsenal of kicks, flying kicks, sweep kicks, crescent kicks, and more kicks, as its primary means of attack. As enemies are defeated, they drop experience points, magic spells, health items, or mana-restoring potions. The more you fight, the more you level up, unlocking new and more powerful kicks along the way. This mechanic makes Kickmaster feel almost like a light RPG in disguise. The kicks aren't just cosmetic either, they have specific uses and strategic value. Some are good for crowd control, others for aerial enemies, and some have knockback effect that helps in tight platforming sections. Mastering the right techniques for the right situation adds depth and variety to the gameplay. Additionally, as Thonderland progresses, he learns magical spells that consume mana, allowing him to heal, cast lightning bolts, or freeze enemies in place. Balancing physical prowess with magical utility keeps the game engaging and dynamic. Visually, Kickmaster stands among the most polished NES games of his generation. Sprites are large and well animated, with Thonderland's kicks fluidly choreographed and enemy designs ranging from grotesque to gothic. Backgrounds are richly detailed, often with multiple layers of parallax scrolling, a rarity on the NES that gives environments a surprising amount of depth and motion. From the crumbling ruins of a monster-infested town to the eerie glow of lava-filled caverns, the visual design successfully creates a sense of dangerous, war-torn fantasy world. The soundtrack is atmospheric and intense, with catchy tunes that suit the high-action gameplay. From haunting melodies in the darker stages to adrenaline-pumping rhythms during boss fights, the music enhances the overall experience and gives the game a distinct identity. Despite its many strengths, Kickmaster didn't gain much traction commercially. Released late in the NES's lifecycle when the SNES was already taking the spotlight, it flew under the radar for many players. Its unusual premise and high difficulty may have also discouraged more casual gamers, yet those who gave it a chance discovered one of the most creative and refined action games on the system. In hindsight, Kickmaster is a game that was ahead of its time. Its fusion of martial arts, magic, RPG elements, and side-scrolling action created a gameplay loop that was deeper than most of its contemporaries. Though overlooked at launch, it has earned a place among the hidden gems of the NES library. For fans of old-school challenge, fantasy action, and mechanically rich gameplay, Kickmaster is well worth tracking down. Street Fighter 2010 The Final Fight. Released by Capcom in 1990, Street Fighter 2010 The Final Fight is one of the most unexpected entries in the Street Fighter franchise. Despite its name, the game has almost nothing in common with the fighting game legacy it's attached to. Instead of traditional one-on-one battles, it delivers a futuristic sci-fi themed side-scrolling action experience more reminiscent of Mega Man or Strider. It was a bold experiment, or a lot of crack, but either way, it confused a lot of players then and continues to fascinate retro fans today. In the Japanese version, the protagonist is a cybernetic police officer named Kevin Straker. However, for the Western release, Capcom made the puzzling decision. They rebranded their main character as Ken Masters, of course they did, the blonde martial artist from Street Fighter. According to the game's US backstory, Ken is retired from fighting tournaments and became a scientist. Of course he did. Only, of course he did. What the I'm not editing this out either. Why did that tickle me so much? Okay, scientist Kickmaster's fine. Oh, he then became a scientist only to be dragged back into combat and his research partners to mysteriously kill. I don't care anymore. I don't. It's whatever. This odd retcon combined with the game's space-faring storyline resulted in a narrative that felt completely disconnected from Street Fighter's world of martial arts competition. You fucking think? Really? Oh, give me a second. Oh, it's been a long day. I've done 4 of these already today. Hang on. Oh, let me get a breath. You just watch the gameplay for a second while I just... Oh. Okay, we're fine. We can do this. From the moment players start playing Street Fighter 2010, they know they're not getting a typical beat-em-up. The game takes place across multiple planets and dimensions, each filled with dangerous alien life forms, mutants and cybernetic enemies. Every level is structured around locating and defeating a target enemy before a timer runs out, adding tension and urgency to each stage. You can't simply rush to the end. Progression depends on finding and eliminating specific foes. Ken, our cyber warrior, of course he is, has a versatile moveset. He can climb walls, flip between vertical and horizontal planes, and fire energy projectiles from his hands in multiple directions. Are we just not saying the Hadokens? No, of course we're not. These blasts can be charged up and directed, offering strategic flexibility. As enemies are defeated, Ken can collect power-ups to boost his attack strength and range. However, taking damage causes these upgrades to disappear, creating a gameplay loop that punishes recklessness and rewards precision. The game is mechanically ambitious for the NES. Combat is fast and fluid, though it takes some time to master the controls, which can feel stiff or awkward at first. The ability to aim in various directions and climb walls adds a layer of mobility that sets it apart from simple action games of the time. The boss fights here are intense, requiring players to juggle movement, aiming, and quick reflexes to survive. Visually, Street Fighter 2010 is a standout on the NES. The environments are vibrant, varied, and filled with sci-fi flair. From high-tech space stations to organic alien hives, each level feels distinct and richly designed. The sprite work is detailed and the animations, particularly Ken's flips, wall jumps, and energy attacks, are smooth and flashy. The game pushes the NES hardware to deliver a futuristic aesthetic that feels unlike anything else in the console's library. The soundtrack is also subtly intense and otherworldly. The music ranges from eerie atmospheric tracks to high-energy battle themes, helping to immerse players in the game's surreal setting. Sound effects are punchy, especially Ken's energy blasts and dramatic boss defeat cues. Despite its polished and unique design, Street Fighter 2010 struggled commercially and critically. Many players were confused or frustrated by the departure from the Street Fighter brand's roots. The misleading title created mismatched expectations, and the high difficulty curve further limited its appeal. Some dismissed it as a failed spin-off, while others didn't even give it a chance at all. Yet in recent years, Street Fighter 2010 has gained a cult following. Retro gamers and YouTubers alike have revisited the title, appreciating for what it was rather than what it isn't. It's not a true Street Fighter game, of course, but it's a fascinating, challenging, and visually striking NES action platformer that dared to be different. For those willing to learn its mechanics and embrace its weirdness, it offers a unique and rewarding experience that deserves to be remembered. Shatterhand. Shatterhand released in 1991 and is a lesser known but highly regarded action platformer developed and published by Jelko. Although it never reached the commercial heights of contemporaries like Mega Man or Contra, Shatterhand earned praise for its fast-paced gameplay, unique combat mechanics, and engaging level design. It remains a hidden gem among NES enthusiasts and a testament to the system's late-era capabilities. The game puts players in control of Steve Herman, codenamed Shatterhand, a cyborg-enhanced soldier equipped with powerful robotic arms, so Jax. The story, while simple, sets the stage for a classic good versus evil battle. After a global terrorist organization called Metal Command invades, Shatterhand is sent on a mission to defeat their leader, D.A. Leviathan, and restore peace. The narrative unfolds through brief cutscenes and dialogue between stages, adding context without overshadowing the action. What makes Shatterhand stand out immediately is its combat system. Unlike many NES action games that rely on projectile weapons or swords, Shatterhand's primary attack is its powerful punches. The robotic arms deliver fast, strong melee blows, which can be chained together in rapid combos. This punch-centric combat adds visceral punch to every encounter, encouraging players to get up close and personal with enemies rather than relying on range attacks. One of the most inventive mechanics in Shatterhand is the use of the cybernetic partner robots. Throughout the game, players can collect letter pickups dropped by defeated enemies, which spell out various partner codes. Once a code is completed, the player summons a robot ally with distinct abilities that can aid in combat, shooting projectiles or creating shields. These partners can be switched on the fly and dramatically change the way players approach different levels and bosses. This system adds a strategic layer rarely seen in NES platformers. The level design in Shatterhand is well crafted and varied, featuring environments like urban streets, industrial complexes, jungles and underwater sections. Each stage is filled with a diverse array of enemies, traps and platforming challenges. The pacing is tight, with a good balance between combat and navigation that keeps the gameplay engaging throughout. Boss battles punctuate every level, testing players' reflexes and mastery of their partner's robot abilities. Visually, Shatterhand showcases impressive sprite work for an NES title. Steve's character model is large and well animated, with fluid punch animations and clear visual feedback on attacks. Enemies and bosses are creatively designed and animated, each bringing unique attack patterns that require players to adapt their strategies. Backgrounds are detailed and atmospheric, with parallel scrolling effects adding depth to the environments. Though the NES had its limitations, Shatterhand pushed the hardware to deliver a cinematic action experience. The game's music and sound design further enhanced its appeal. The soundtrack features energetic and catchy tunes that match the high-intensity action. From driving rock-inspired themes to tense melodies during boss fights, the audio keeps players pumped throughout the adventure. Sound effects of punches, explosions and robot abilities are satisfying and help immerse the player in the fast-paced combat. Despite its quality, Shatterhand did not achieve the major commercial success, likely overshadowed by bigger franchises and the imminent arrival of the 16-bit consoles. However, it has since gained a devoted fanbase, with many players praising its innovative mechanics, tight controls and challenging gameplay. It remains a highlight of the late-era NES releases and a rewarding challenge for retro gaming enthusiasts. In conclusion, Shatterhand is a standout NES action platformer that combines unique melee combat with strategic partner mechanics and solid level design. Its memorable gameplay, polished presentation, and engaging challenges make it a must-play for fans of classic action games. Though often overlooked in the shadow of other Nintendo titles, Shatterhand deserves recognition as one of the NES's most innovative and enjoyable experiences. Dragon Fighter. Now, Dragon Fighter is a relatively obscure title that was released in 1990 by Natsume. It's an action platformer that stands out for its ambitious gameplay mechanics, fantasy setting, and challenging level design. While not as famous as on the NES classics, Dragon Fighter offers an engaging experience that combines fast-paced combat with unique transformation abilities, making it a noteworthy addition to the NES library. The story of Dragon Fighter revolves around a young warrior named Ryu, who is on a quest to rescue his girlfriend Yuki from the clutches of the evil demon named Zoya. This straightforward narrative serves as a backdrop for the action, unfolding through short introductory and ending scenes. The game's fantasy world is populated by various mythological creatures, including dragons, demons and undead warriors, setting the stage for a classic good versus evil adventure. What makes Dragon Fighter distinctive is its core gameplay mechanic. Ryu has the ability to transform into a dragon. As the player progresses throughout the levels, defeating enemies and collecting power-ups, Ryu can activate this transformation, which grants him enhanced abilities such as flight, powerful fire breath attacks and increased durability. The dragon form allows players to navigate levels more freely and deal devastating damage to enemies. However, this transformation is limited by a meter that depletes over time or when taking damage, adding a strategic element to when and how players choose to use it. Outside the dragon form, Dragon Fighter plays as a traditional side-scrolling platformer. Ryu can run, jump and attack with a sword, and he can also use various magic spells acquired throughout the game. These spells consume a magic meter and range from fireballs to protective barriers, offering players different options for combat and defense. The combination of melee attacks, magic and dragon transformation creates a varied combat system that requires players to adapt their tactics to different enemies and situations. The level design in Dragon Fighter is challenging and diverse. Players traverse a series of stages that include forests, caves, castles and other fantasy-themed environments. Each level is populated with a variety of enemies, traps and obstacles that test the player's reflexes and strategic thinking. The game features several boss fights, each requiring players to learn attack patterns and exploit weaknesses to succeed. The difficulty curve is steep but fair, rewarding persistence and skill. Visually, Dragon Fighter is a solid title on the NES, and the sprite work is detailed, with Ryu's character and dragon form well animated and distinct. Enemy designs are creative, featuring a mix of traditional fantasy creatures and imaginative monsters. Backgrounds are colourful and varied, helping to create an immersive fantasy atmosphere. While it doesn't push the NES hardware to its limits, the graphics are crisp and appealing for the platform. The soundtrack complements the gameplay with energetic and atmospheric tunes. The music, though limited by the NES's audio capabilities, effectively conveys the mood of each stage, from tense battles to mysterious forests. Sound effects are sword swings, magic spells, and the dragon attacks are clear and satisfying, adding to the overall immersion. Dragon Fighter received modest attention upon release, overshadowed by bigger titles and franchises on the NES. However, it has since been appreciated by retro game enthusiasts for its unique gameplay mechanics and challenging design. This ability to switch between human and dragon forms adds a refreshing twist to the standard platforming formula, giving it a distinct identity. In conclusion, Dragon Fighter is an underrated NES action platformer that blends traditional swordplay, magic and transformative abilities into a cohesive and engaging experience. Its fantasy setting, varied combat options and challenging levels make it a rewarding game for fans of classic platformers looking for something different. Though it never reached the popularity of other NES classics, Dragon Fighter remains a hidden gem worthy of exploration for those interested in the system's more unique offerings. Little Samson. Released in 1992 by Taito, Little Samson is often hailed as one of the finest yet most underrated platformers on the NES. Despite its late arrival on the NES at a time when the 16-bit era was already in full swing, Little Samson stands out for its polished gameplay, charming graphics, and innovative character switching mechanics. Though it never gained widespread recognition upon release, it has since become a beloved cult classic among retro gaming enthusiasts. The premise of Little Samson is straightforward and delightful. The peaceful kingdom has been overrun by an army of monsters, and it's up to 4 unique heroes to restore peace. Players can switch between 4 different characters at will: Samson, the hero; Kikira, a flying dragon; Gam, a strong and slow-moving golem; and KO, a nimble yet fragile mouse. Each character brings unique abilities to the table, which are essential for overcoming various obstacles and enemies throughout the game. Samson's the well-rounded character capable of balanced attacks and good jumping ability. Kikira can fly, giving access to hard-to-reach areas but struggles with tight spaces. Gam boasts incredible strength and the ability to smash through certain barriers, but his slow movement and large size make precise platforming tricky. And KO is quick and nimble, able to fit through small passages, but he has limited attack power and low defense. The diversity in playstyles force players to think strategically, switching characters to match the demands of each level segment and enemy encounter. The gameplay in Little Samson is classic 2D action platforming at its best. Levels are designed with multiple routes and secrets, encouraging exploration and replayability. The controls are tight and responsive, allowing for precise jumps, quick attacks, and smooth transition between characters. Boss battles are challenging, but fair, often requiring players to exploit the unique strengths of the chosen hero. The game balances difficulty well, providing a satisfying challenge without becoming frustrating. Visually, Little Samson is a standout title on the NES. The sprites are large, colourful, and meticulously animated, breathing life into each character and enemy. The backgrounds are richly detailed with vibrant and varied environments ranging from lush forests and caverns to mechanical factories and castles. The use of colour and animation makes the game visually appealing, demonstrating the NES capabilities even in its twilight years. The soundtrack complements the visuals perfectly, featuring catchy, upbeat tunes that match the energetic pace of the gameplay. From cheerful forest melodies to intense boss battle themes, the music adds atmosphere and excitement. One of the little reasons Little Samson didn't achieve commercial success is that the time was at its unfortunate release window. By 1992, the gaming industry was shifting towards 16-bit consoles like the Super Nintendo and the Sega Mega Drive, and the NES was nearing the end of its life cycle. Consequently, many gamers overlooked it in favour of newer titles on more advanced hardware. Additionally, its initial print run was limited, making physical copies rare and sought after by collectors today. Despite this, Little Samson has garnished significant retro acclaim. Critics and fans alike praise its polished gameplay, charming design, innovative mechanic of characters switching that adds depth and variety. It's often recommended as a must-play for NES enthusiasts looking for a hidden gem that encapsulates the best qualities of classic platformers. In conclusion, Little Samson is a shining example of how creative design and solid execution can produce a timeless game, regardless of the system's age or market conditions. Its memorable characters, engaging gameplay, and gorgeous presentation make it a standout title in the NES library. For anyone interested in classic platformers, Little Samson offers a delightful and rewarding experience that deserves a place in every retro gamer's collection. Scat. Scat, also known as Scat Special Cybernetic Attack Team, is a relatively obscure action platformer released for the NES system in 1990 by Nichibutsu. The game stands out as a quirky cybernetic setting, intense gameplay, and high difficulty, making it a unique yet often overlooked title in the NES library. While not as known as many other NES classics, Scat has developed a cult following to its challenging stages, unique weapon upgrade system, and distinctive aesthetic. The story of Scat is set in a futuristic dystopian world where an evil empire has unleashed an army of deadly robots and mutants to conquer humanity. Players take control of a member of the Special Cybernetic Attack Team, an elite soldier enhanced with the cybernetic technology sent on a mission to infiltrate enemy territory and bring down the oppressive regime. Though the narrative is minimal and primarily conveyed through short cutscenes, it provides a fitting backdrop for the high-energy action that unfolds. Gameplay in Scat is a side-scrolling action platform with run-and-gun mechanics. Players navigate through various stages filled with enemies, traps, and platforming challenges. The controls are tight and responsive, allowing for precise movement and attacks. The main character wields a gun that can be upgraded throughout the game by collecting power-ups, adding layers of strategy as players choose when to risk exploring dangerous areas for better firepower. One of the game's defining features is its weapon upgrade system. Players can collect different weapon types, each with unique firing patterns and strengths, including spread shots, lasers, and missiles. Additionally, weapons can be powered up multiple times, increasing their damage and effectiveness. Managing these upgrades becomes crucial, especially in later levels where enemies become more aggressive and the margin for error shrinks. Levels in Scat are varied and demanding. Players traverse environments ranging from urban landscapes to underground facilities and mechanical complexes. Each stage is packed with enemies that attack relentlessly, requiring players to balance offense and defense carefully. The level design incorporates platforming segments that demand precise timing and movement, along with moments that test the player's shooting accuracy and reflexes. Boss battles in Scat are intense and memorable, featuring large, well-animated robotic foes with complex attack patterns. These encounters challenge players to learn and adapt quickly, often requiring mastery of weapon upgrades and movements to emerge victorious. The difficulty level throughout the game is notably high, which may deter casual players and rewards those who enjoy a tough skill-based challenge. Visually, Scat is impressive for an NES title, considering its release date is late in the console's lifecycle. The graphics feature detailed sprites and backgrounds that evoke a gritty cyberpunk atmosphere. The main character enemies are well designed with fluid animations that bring the game to life. The use of colour and sprite layering adds depth to the environment, enhancing the immersive futuristic setting. The soundtrack and sound effects also contribute significantly to the game's mood. The music is fast-paced and energetic, fitting the urgency and action-packed nature of the gameplay. Sound effects for gunfire, explosions, and enemy movements are sharp and impactful, providing satisfying audio feedback during combat. Despite its many strengths, Scat did not achieve major commercial success and remains relatively unknown outside the dedicated retro gaming circles. Its high difficulty and niche appeal may have limited its audience at the time, while the crowded NES market may have made it harder for smaller titles to stand out. In retrospect, Scat is a challenging yet rewarding game that combines solid platforming, intense running good action, and a distinctive cyberpunk flair. Its weapon upgrade system and demanding gameplay offer depth and replayability, while its visuals and music provide a compelling atmosphere. For players looking for a tough and engaging NES experience with a sci-fi twist, Scat is a hidden gem worth discovering. And finally, James Bond Jr. James Bond Jr. released in 1992 for the NES and is a side-scrolling action platformer based on the animated television series the same name. I used to love the cartoon growing up, it was absolutely awesome. I swear to God, I don't know why I've never had a film of this. Unlike the classic James Bond approach that focused on stealth and espionage, this title takes a more light-hearted approach, featuring James Bond's nephew as a protagonist. While the game attempts to capture the spirit of the show and Bond legacy, it offers a challenging and somewhat quirky experience that become a cult favourite among NES collectors and retro gamers. The plot follows James Bond Jr., a young spy in training, as he embarks on missions to thwart the evil organisation Scum, sabotage, corruption and underground movements. Players navigate James through a variety of stages filled with dangerous henchmen, traps and obstacles. The narrative is straightforward and minimal, mostly serving as a backdrop for the gameplay, with brief cutscenes introducing each villain and mission. Gameplay in James Bond Jr. revolves around classic side-scrolling platform action. Players control James as he runs, jumps and shoots through levels using his trusty wrist blaster and other gadgets. The game features tight but sometimes challenging controls, requiring precise timing to navigate platforms, avoid hazards and defeat enemies. Combat mainly involves shooting enemies, but James can also use gadgets like grappling hooks and other spy tools to overcome obstacles and solve puzzles. One of the game's defining aspects is its variety of level design and enemies. Players progress through locations such as factories, underwater bases and secret lairs, each with distinct enemies ranging from guards to robotic drones. The stages often include platforming sections, time challenges and environmental hazards like spikes, lasers and moving platforms, keeping the gameplay varied and engaging. Boss fights at the end of each level challenge players with unique patterns and attack styles, often requiring mesmerization and strategy to defeat. Visually, James Bond Jr. is colourful and detailed for an NES title. The sprites are large and well animated, capturing the cartoonish style of the animated series. Backgrounds are richly designed with thematic elements fitting the spy genre, dark labs, industrial complexes and secret bases. While not pushing the NES hardware to its limits, the graphics are charming and help create an immersive world that matches the tone of the show. The soundtrack is upbeat and energetic, featuring some catchy tunes that complement the fast-paced action. James Bond Jr. is known for its difficulty, which can be unforgiving, especially in later stages. The limited number of lives and continues means players must learn enemy patterns and level layouts carefully to progress. The steep challenge has made the game frustrating for some, but rewarding for others who appreciate its old-school difficulty and precise gameplay demands. Critically, James Bond Jr. received mixed reviews. Some praised its colourful graphics and faithful adaptation of the animated series, while others criticised its high difficulty and somewhat clunky controls. However, over time it has developed a dedicated fanbase who appreciate it as a solid NES platformer with a unique charm. In conclusion, James Bond Jr. on the NES offers a nostalgic and challenging take on the spy genre through the lens of a young secret agent. Its engaging level design, varied enemies and gadget-based gameplay provide a fun, if sometimes frustrating experience. While it may not have the polished sophistication of other NES classics, its distinctive theme and challenging action make it a memorable title for fans of retro platformers and James Bond lore alike. And that's it, 7 more underrated games for the NES. What do you think of my list? Do you agree with them? Do you think there's ones I need to talk about? Well, put them in the comments below. And as always, if you think I deserve it, please hit that like and subscribe button to help the channel. I'll be back in 3 more days for another video, and until then, you all take care of yourself. My name's been Danny. Bye bye.